Hi, everybody. Kim Dubrule here. How are you? It's all about thinking big this week, and specifically thinking big because we're warming up this month. That doesn't mean that you can't start acting big if you're ready to do it. I know my month is all about thinking, gearing up, getting ready to take some steps. And I've been kind of hunkering in this winter, and I've written about it, just kind of thinking, going slower, doing lots of writing. And now I'm starting to feel that fire. I wrote about that last week in last week's blog. Things are picking up. Let's get back to it. That's what I said in the intro for this week's newsletter. Let's get back to it. And not in the same way we were doing it before. So I don't mean going back to normal, right? There is no more normal, but there also might be some things from the past that have shifted that you might want to bring back. You might bring them back the same way they were before, and you also might reinvent them, much as you're probably doing for yourself. In fact, I think we've all reinvented ourselves. We've had to, right, because of circumstances. So give yourself credit for the reinvention that you have done, whether kicking or screaming, whether conscious or unconscious. And now we're going to go conscious. We're going to actually say, okay, what do I want to do? How am I going to, come out of this holding pattern that we've been in for a while? Some of you are already out of it. So just, for yourselves, ask, what is the next level from here then? But for those of you who have kind of felt like liminal space, holding pattern, now starting to itch and get ready, this is where we start to think big. So one of the best ways I find to do that is I have a worksheet that I've used in the past, looking at the 8 areas of life and just kind of going through those again. Something I do at the beginning of the year, usually every quarter, but I'm just feeling called to do it right now. The 8 areas of life are financial, community, business, or career, whatever you want to call that, occupation, mental, intellectual, which is all about learning, reading, what you're watching, what you're listening to, experiencing, anything that challenges your mind. Spiritual is the next area, health, family, and social. These are not in any particular order. So I look at these areas and I ask myself, how would I rate myself on a scale from 1 to 10 in thinking big in this area? And then the next question is, if I were to think big, if I were a 10, what would have to be happening? So I kind of get that ideal picture. I get the now picture. I get the ideal picture. And don't be afraid to name that out there, even though it may seem completely impossible. What is that? And then your job is to every day, every week, every month in your planning, take steps that go toward the 10. It could go toward the 10 for the 10 to be in 10 years from now. That's okay. The point is progress and moving toward your ideal. The ideal is always going to shift, but the progress of moving in the direction of what you really want is where the power comes from, is what's going to keep you going and excited and engaged in life. Remember my word, vital. That's what it is. What's necessary? What's going to make you feel alive and lively? That's where this is going to lead you. So I have this worksheet. I did it, a few years ago. It's got some questions on it. It's got some book suggestions. And then it's got the place where you can kind of do that little assessment on it. If anybody wants this, just reply to the newsletter and ask me and I'll send it to you. No problem. I just found it in my little searching around today. The one thing I will say, I highlighted Dream Big, Bob Goff's book, Goff, in the newsletter. And I did this list before his book was maybe even thought of, but for sure before it was out. So it's not on this list, but I certainly recommend that one as well. And just get into thinking big. The other book I've highlighted before that came after this is the book called Essentialism. And I was just watching a video, someone mentioned it again today. And it's such a good book to just get down to what is important, what am I going to spend my time on, what's not necessary, what's necessary feeds right into my word again, vital. What's vital? and start really honing in and thinking big about those important things. The author says in Essentialism, I think his name is Greg McKeown, I think I'm saying that right. He says that you can't serve everyone or you'll serve no one. You can't put everyone first or you put no one first. So, really try to think it's okay. You can't serve everyone. You have to really get specific and think about what's important to you, what lights you alive, what are you here for, and do some introspection. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about when I'm saying think big. Start to really think about this. Spend the next few weeks really getting the pot to boil and really starting to think, okay, what actions am I going to start to take? And when, you'll know when you start to really get that itch and you sort of feel restless, if you're not doing it, then you know it's time. Get some support around you, great friends, accountability. A great coach is someone I'm always going to recommend to you for strategy, co-creation, and accountability. That's really, to me, that's what gets me when I have my coach holding me accountable. I get it done, and I get it done usually way faster than I even promised because I know I'm going to have to go back and report in. Someone cares whether I do it or not. Someone's going to ask me. So have that person, whether, like I said, a coach or someone else who you trust, who has your best interests at heart, to question you about what you say you want. It's such a valuable thing, accountability. I was teaching the first part or facilitating the first part of a course this week, and it's about accountability, and it's a big, big thing. And yes, we're capable of things without it, but that's where you really go for it. Talk about thinking big. If you're willing to be held accountable to things, you're thinking big. You're always going to be stretched. So have a great week ahead. Make this liminal space of March, the middle part, really count. Get some things going. Don't write down a ton of things. Get some real priorities. What are the most important 3 things that you're going to do or make progress on? Get the chunks smaller. I'm talking to a lot of people now who feel overwhelmed. They feel like they're not getting things done. And what I'm finding is they just have the pieces way too big. So get a piece of it and feel that progress. That's the part that feels good. All right, have a great week. I will see you next week on Sunday.